Hey everybody, welcome to Q&A video number 27. Make sure to keep asking questions, doesn't matter about, they can be about anything. But, just know that I don't respond to review requests or Let's Play requests in the videos themselves. I do respond to them in the comments, though. So, let's go ahead and get started with a question from MJ1284. What do you think about DLCs in general? Would you prefer developers going back to expansion packs, expansions that actually add something to the game, and give up on DLCs? Well, I don't know. I'll be honest with you, I almost never get DLC. Unless it's bundled with the main game, I pretty much never get it. I do often get expansion packs, however. And the simple reason for this is, I feel like I get more value for money with an expansion. With a DLC, it generally just feels like more of a tacked-on thing than anything else. What I would like to see is for all these DLCs that get released, if the game has a lot of DLC, bundle all that DLC together, and say, this is the DLC bundle, or this is the DLC expansion, or whatever you want to call it. I don't know exactly what you call it. And basically sell it for slightly lower than all of that DLC would be individually, because the way they've got it set up now, basically the DLC itself has to go on sale before it actually gets down cheaper than it would be just to get it all individually. So if you're going to buy it all together, it's usually more expensive to get the DLC now. From a marketing standpoint, that's obviously a good thing. From a consumer standpoint, not so much. So I would prefer seeing an expansion pack or a DLC bundle that's priced more reasonably than the individual DLC. I don't really mind DLC all that much. A lot of it's inconsequential anyway, but it's just kind of a mixed bag. I can't really say one way or the other that I would prefer. It's just that I tend to get expansion packs more than I do DLCs, just because I feel that expansion packs give me more value for money. Next one is from Omega Wolf Studios. What do you think about nostalgia freaks that say who think that everything new is watered down and that they've sold out? It's too mainstream, man. Hipsters rule. Oh, hipsters. I don't like hipsters. I don't think anybody really likes hipsters. But anyway, I don't really like people who act like everything new is watered down or sold out or too mainstream or something like that. There is a point you can cross over and it will be painfully obvious, like, say, Arcania Gothic 4. When you take the essence of a series and remove it in favor of appealing to the masses, that is when you start really going into horrible territory. When you start taking core elements out and acting like it's a good thing, like they did with Oblivion, for instance, where they took out the challenge and made Oblivion incredibly easy, for instance, or they removed the rewards for exploring and all that. That was where you started to get really big issues. And so if you're talking about something like that and you're saying, oh, it's watered down or sold out, then you have some merit there. But if you're just saying that anything new is watered down or sold out, then I don't know where you're getting that, and you're just being a hipster. And you're thinking you're cool when you're not. So if you don't like games on the basis of them being new, then there's probably something wrong with you. Next three questions are from Watch Out BR. Oh, this guy likes asking questions, doesn't he? That's not a big deal. I don't mind that. Anyway, first one. What do you think about the recent popularity of gaming? I'm kind of surprised I didn't get asked this before, actually. Yeah, gaming has gotten really popular in the last, basically, decade. When I started gaming, it was something that only nerds did. Only people who were really into nerdy things, Dungeons and Dragons, or fantasy novels, or whatever you want to say. Basically, it was the nerds' activity. Now, pretty much everybody games, if they can afford to, or something like that. It's not a really taboo thing to do anymore, and that's actually a good thing, because it means that you don't get looked down on anymore if you're a gamer. Well, not anywhere near as much as you used to. Trust me, it was pretty annoying back then, when you got just constantly berated for being a gamer. That was annoying. I'm glad that we don't have that anymore. But at the same time, you also have this huge demographic of casual and mainstream, quote, gamers now, where they're kind of ruining the market. There used to be a fair amount of diversity, and all of a sudden things started getting more mainstream. People started buying the same types of games over and over again, and so publishers said, hey, this many people are buying this sort of game, we need to focus on that. And so it's kind of hurt other things. Luckily, the indies have taken up the slack, and so we're seeing a little bit more diversity now, but it has kind of a double-edged sword effect. On the one hand, it's more accepted now. On the other hand, it's kind of casualizing the market, I guess is the way you'd say it. The second question from Watch Out BR is about Arcanum. What is the best large armor in Arcanum of Steamworks and Magic Obscura? I don't know, because I almost never play as a large enough character for that, just because it's a little bit harder to come across larger armors. But in my experience, the best armor in the game has been basically machined plate. This is debatable, of course. So if you can get large machined plate, then go for it, because that stuff's great. But other than that, I can't really say much, because I don't play much as a large character. And the last one from Watch Out BR is, I saw your TES4 Oblivion review, and I couldn't help but notice you complained about the combat system. Well, you're right in saying it's bad, because it really is messy and rushed out. But you said it was whacking stuff and hack and slash fest. But though it was really bad, the system was a step forward to the right direction. Excuse me. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but until Morrowind, the combat was based on die rolls to see if it hit, damage of attacks, etc. Then Oblivion took a more realistic approach. If you hit something with a weapon, it receives damage. I know dice rolls are a sacred system for RPGs, but they were first introduced because of the lack of technology at the time. Nowadays, we can simulate combat. We can see if the attack hit, where it hit, if it was blocked, etc. So wasn't Oblivion's combat system a step in the right direction? This is kind of a double-edged sword again. It was a step in the right direction. The whole miss based on die rolls thing didn't work in Morrowind because it just made no sense. You would sit there and you would be right in their face and you would swing and you would miss. In the DOS era with Arena and Daggerfall, you could kind of attribute it to a lack of technology because they couldn't simulate people like, say, dodging or blocking. And while in Morrowind they occasionally do block, most of the time it's just missing. And it doesn't make any sense. That's why it got annoying. In Oblivion, the way they set it up was that you basically just tap the button over and over and over again, and it's the same attack no matter what. There's no real depth to the combat. That's why it's not really that good of a combat system. It's basically just you hold down the button, you do a power attack. You tap the button, you just do a normal attack. And it doesn't help that the AI is really stupid, so they don't really fight well either. So you have this incredibly simplistic combat system with no depth. Or you have the die roll system, which really doesn't have any more depth than that, but it's more RPG based. You actually can see the effects of having a high skill level in something. In Oblivion, you don't really see that. You might get better attacks, you might get, and by better I mean they have different effects other than damage. But other than that, you don't really see a lot of real bonuses or anything for having a higher skill level. It's just arbitrary. At this skill level, you get this move. That's kind of it. Whereas in Morrowind, it actually did dictate your chance to hit. You could see yourself getting better and better and better as you increased in your skill level. You could see yourself hitting a lot more. You could see yourself doing more damage. You don't in Oblivion. So that's kind of where it went horribly wrong. It was, like I said, it was a step in the right direction, but it was kind of a step back in the wrong direction as well because it was so simplistic and easily exploitable, and the AI was broken, etc., so on and so forth. So there, that's Q&A video number 27. Like I said, make sure you keep asking questions, and I will catch you guys in later videos.